The moment of creation is a form of magic, where an off becomes an on, a 0 becomes a 1, then another, and another, until, deep in the complexity, you discover order, speed, reliability, power. Experience the WD Black NVMe SSD. Fueled by darkness. Level up to NVMe SSD performance.
To become who we are. This is my moment. I got a most exciting time. It's all about humanity. About humanity.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GamersConnect Community Cup Rainbow Six Siege, brought to you by display partner Samsung, associate partner WD Black, Colorful, and Games the Shop. Get the best FPS with the top of the line Colorful GTX and RTX graphic card through RP Tech India, which is India's official distributor for Colorful in India. And hey, what a colorful day, right? Rainbow Six Siege. We have a good group of teams in participation. And joining me for this tournament is going to be Cerilius. How have you been in this
I'm
quarantine?
I'm absolutely doing fine, spending my days playing a little bit of Minecraft and Rainbow Six, of course. And we can see that the first match of the day is going to be between the Hoffen Esports and Ultra Instinct.
And I really want to try bringing into contrast on how Rainbow Six Siege has been going on throughout this, I'd say, month. We've had a new update. We have a new map. We have two new operators, which aren't allowed yet in most tournaments, I suppose. But this new
Hmm.
map, right? We've seen it quite a bit in Pro League, but not as much in Indian circuit. I guess the only team that I
Hmm.
find in this tournament who could potentially take it might be Reckoning, just due to the amount of experience they have. And on the back of Hate as a coach, you definitely do have an added resource, right? Something
Hmm.
that we don't see as much in the Rainbow Six Siege scene in India. An addition of a coach. That is
Yes.
something that I hope more
Mm.
teams inculcate, because unlike games like Dota or CS, Siege is, I'd say, fairly more technical of a shooter, where you have to have so much information about the map, so much information about how you need to work in synergy. And again, the draft phase is something that I find teams, at least here, undervalue a little bit. But you can come up with a lot of gimmicks and a lot of what I'd call GG drafts. Something that going into this tournament, I feel like we're going to have a repetitive tendency is, if the ban phase goes a regular route, we could have a draft where in the attack we could have Blitz as the frontliner alongside Finka, who helps in the offense to root out the roamers. We could have the Lion and the Jackal, and just to add a little bit of more speed and versatility, you could have an Ash in there as well, which, at least from what I've seen with Indian Siege, I think this would be the dream draft that teams would be going into, at least with this mindset. What do you feel about this, Sari?
Yes, of course, that's true. And right, we have here Ultra Instinct, Hoffen Instinct already banning Thermite, and up to Ultra Instinct going for another attacker ban.
I feel like the sledge would be a good ban here,
Mm.
considering its border, right? There's a lot of
Yes.
verticality when it comes to this map, so something like a sledge ban or a buck ban would, yeah, there we go. The buck is
Yeah.
out of the equation. So one element of the hard breacher, and again one where verticality comes into the mix, is removed. Again, a standard ban when it comes to the offense. Now on the defensive side, we should expect, okay, this is the Valkyrie ban, which is kind of surprising. To be honest, I'd expect
Hmm.
something along the lines of Amira and an Echo.
Hmm.
Or even if you're getting a little overzealous, maybe taking out something like the smoke, where you can get a late deny on the objective, would be good. But
Hmm.
the Valk is out due to the information game being somewhat of a priority, and the Mira, of course, a standard ban in the Indian scene. So quite the standard ban, quite the standard route, and quite the standard map. Border is, I'd say, one of the played maps in India, alongside maybe something like Clubhouse or Coastline. So
Hmm.
I'm expecting things to go the standard route here. Who do you feel is the favorite team to take this map, though?
This, I would say that from what I know so far, I feel like Ultra Instinct is quite familiar with the border. Now we can see that the attackers are going with Thatcher. Ying this time, as we can see in the recent buffs, Ying has been given 4 candelas along with 3 smokes that absolutely buffs her to the maximum. I wonder how Jaeger and Vamai are going to face that.
Yeah, coming into this tournament, I expected a lot of young picks to
Mm.
be coming out, just due to the amount of utility she brings to the table now.
Mhm.
And considering that there would be a Jaeger in the opposition, that's something that they might need to worry about a little later on, but we'll get to it when we do need to. Apart from it, I think right now, Ultra Instinct have come in with a decent draft, where you do have the Nomad, right? She's been an operator I've been expecting to see a ban off just due to the amount of pressure she puts on rotators, where they're really choked on information. And there are these moments where you need to make these plays, right? And the Nomad is the perfect operator to just shut them clean out of the table and force you into these uncomfortable situations.
Absolutely. And we have on the defense, already have a Jaeger. And we can say that Mozzie is one of those operators on whom you can rely regarding the information as he catches those drones when, like, with using his spiders.
What do you think of the dock pick, though? That's something that I've never really found of great utility, I'd say, except for maybe when you're going for early pickings. Maybe the dock is a good pick at that duration. But after that early 2 minutes phase, I feel like the dock really drops off in how much you can provide for the defense.
Unless it's about healing up the roamers who try to run out sometimes. Otherwise, he is right now in the current meta. He is a 3 armor, 1 speed operator. But in the future updates, he might be reduced to a 2 speed, 2 armor with and of course his ACOG is going gone from his hands. He will be left with a hollow maybe.
Yeah, and it's a similar situation with the Jaeger as well, right? With his recent nerf coming down to 2 speed from 3 speed, he really won't be that effective as a roam. And
Yes.
I guess we would see that, especially in this map, where even though Jaeger is picked, he's not played in the most conventional of manners. At least for now, Ultra Instinct, they have a little bit of information to work off of. They found the objective, but yet to find anybody aggressive. There we go. A little bit of information comes in from the Dokkaebi as now they can commence the push, and the initial kill comes in already. The defense standing decent for now, as there is a minute 30 left on the clock, and Ultra Instinct are not close to an objective thus far. They need to start closing the grounds here, because if they allow Hoffen Esports to set up, it'll be a pretty hard task to pull those off in the last few seconds.
I can see that the attackers are going from the office push this time, which has given them an early round advantage. And the Bakura men with the double kill and 2 defenders left on Hoffen's side. And 5 attackers already alive. 1 minute into the round, we have
Ooh.
Doctor who gets that kill, and Ultra Instincts. Oh, come on,
Wow!
killing already
They're
gets double
holding
kill.
on to
It's
this. The
2v2
crossfire is
and less
perfect.
time.
Exactly 50 seconds left on the clock, and this is what I was worried about. Yes, they get the kills, but at what cost? Now it's come to an even situation, a 2 versus 2, where the Jock being able to heal up. The fight gonna be messy, but the Zafir can't land the kill, and now it's all down to the Nomad as she's stuck in an unwinnable situation. The Doc could potentially heal himself up, and she needs to pick up the diffuser, mind you, so she needs to make her way there, and she needs to make it fast. 30 seconds left on the clock. Hoffen Esports, they should be setting up now. Again, the diffuser dropped wide open as day. 20 seconds left, the time working against her in every situation, but she manages to get the drop on the Jaeger. It's all left onto the Doc, and she should be able to get a comfortable plant, and you're going as safe as humanly possible, and the Doc's not going to push it. They're going to be playing for the after plant. He's going to go on the peak. He's calling the bluff. As soon as they drop the bomb, he drops ball as well. Ultra Instinct. A good job on the offense. They got this down to a 5 versus 2, but post that, they really needed to disengage and think about the way they wanted to approach this. The way the Doc could just peek and get 2 kills out of nowhere without being punished is something that they really need to read into. And on the back of the distraction and chaos, Jaeger is able to chime in with a single kill, which makes this round more winnable, right? When the time ticks that low, you're bound to make mistakes, and you need to have your nerves ice cold at that situation.
Completely agreed on that, especially the doctor who got quad kills and couldn't stop himself from giving that naughty little tea bag before diffusing like that plant.
Well, it's all fun and games, isn't it?
Yes, of course. And this time on defense, we have Legion and Vigil, and this time we have a guide. And since they lost that site, the CCTV, sorry, excuse me, the armory, they're going with ventilation room and workshop. I see a lot of roaming coming into the play this time from Hoffen.
And I'm really surprised that not many teams on the offense, at least for this game, is choosing IQ. Because let's be
Hmm.
honest, she is a great operator when it comes to playing against Legion, when it comes against Jaeger as well, where their utility will be static and
Hmm.
given, I guess, 2 minutes where it generally takes the offense to set up, she can provide so much in way of just dismantling what the defenders are going through. So having that pick not phase out, especially in the second round, is kind of surprising for me. But let's see how it'll turn out. Obviously, the Legion is going to be a huge asset as the middle segment of the round approaches, right? Because that's when they're going to start closing in. That's when the Legion traps are at its most powerful. When you're set up with the Legion traps to get that early kill, you can get that kill, you can disengage, and you can play off the advantage, which is going to be a real heartache for Ultra Instinct to counter, especially in this round. Because, again, a lack of IQ and a lack of detection per se.
That is true, of course. However, we have on the attacking team there is Thatcher and one hard breach, which happens to be Hibana, which is quite useful since border is a place with a lot of hatches, and especially when the defense team is right below, like in the ventilation office, they're bound to go for the hatches. And of course, Hibana is a good choice in this round. And once again, we can see Ajax going with the Ying choice. I mean, taking well advantage of the current meta.
Well, let's. I'm actually interested to see how aggressive Hoffen Esports could get. The previous time, they tried to play a little aggressive, but the aggression simply didn't pan out. It predominantly came down to the Doc and his ability to hold. If he's able to deliver a round on the back of a 2 versus 5, just imagine if Hoffen Esports fire on all cylinders. It'll be a spectacle to watch.
Mm. In the last round, I would say Hoffen Esports was going a little easy on those people, the Ultra Instincts, until the very last second when it came down to Doc and he had to go for the quad kill. And right now, there, I guess they know what they have to do. The attackers are already inside archives and smoke with his toxic waves in play. UI Fanner, he is pinned in the site. However, he has to do something about it. And once again, half of the attackers are pushing through the office, and Hibana already inside. We lose one of the
Attackers, and it's
yeah,
Ying. Again, high utility hero to be
yeah,
lost early. Not really the best of
Alina.
starts for Ultra Instinct, and it just gets from bad to worse as they're being pushed out of the little control they gained. On the back of this
Mm.
3 versus 4 with the Nomad being so dead low, it's going to be a real hard ask for Ultra Instinct to turn this round around on its tables, but this could have gone real bad
Oh,
real
oh,
fast.
oh.
Luckily, the Thatcher holds on to his life and the kill as well. They managed to equalize the situation, but 45 seconds left on the clock, and they really need to get a move on here. The Thatcher is down about half HP, the Nomad down to barely a tick. Beautiful defense work
Uh-oh.
coming in from Hoffen as they're not allowing any free ground to go their way. The revive gonna come in, but this is the window that Hoffen Esports could potentially get aggressive at. Everybody from Ultra Instinct trying to spearhead from one angle, and this is not the best way to approach, especially a map like Border, where it's easy to be flanked, and vertically flanked is a huge possibility as well. Down a man now, Ultra Instinct really trying to regroup and refocus here as it's only 15 seconds on the clock, and they're gonna rush the objective, but with very little luck as the hold is done to perfection. Hoffen Esports so close, yet a little far. The fight taken a little late, and now the digits being pumped in. There needs to be a deny coming in from the smoke at any moment now as he's a little late to the call. He's running, he's making his way in, but he's low, and he is dead. Beautiful job from the
Oh
Nomad,
my
placing the
god.
trap in the absolute perfect position. He outread him like a damn buck.
This is what I call the 200 IQ gameplay right here. He knew exactly what to do in the last few seconds where he was on the lowest of his health. UI Fanner, I would tip my hat to you. He placed the air jacks right where it was needed. He knew the smoke would come from there. And as soon as the plant went off, he hid behind and waited for the smoke to fly away like a piece of paper. Absolutely amazing play right there. A very good round by the attackers. However, they messed up in the middle, sorry, in the beginning, but it was quite an amazing round in the end.
Exactly, a good love tap at the end to seal things shut and to put the first round on the board as well for the attackers. As now they're faced in the Jackal, and this is what I love, Sari. This is what I
Hmm.
love to see when attackers go for Jackal. they're ready to play the patient game because they know that they can get at least one pick off. At least you have information on one guy who's going aggressive and he's split apart from his team. So you try to pick them off piece by piece. And considering the way Ultra Instincts have been playing, I'd say this is the game plan they need to be going in with from the get go.
That is true, of course. I can see that on the attacking team, the roster stays the same with Hibana, Zofia, Nomad, and Thatcher in the play. However, Ying has been replaced by Jackal, and on the defense, we have the same players like with Kaid and Gecko. Of course, I would say that since of course, there's no there's no Ying, but I feel like Jackal has been ripped off his smoke grenades, from what I recall in his latest patch notes from Ubisoft.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
I really love this Legion pick. I feel like given a little more time and space, this Legion could do a lot. But considering that they didn't face out the Jackal, which was again one of the bans that I expected coming in from the get-go, this is going to be a little hard because Hoffen Esports, they don't mind playing outside the objective. They don't mind being a little adventurous when they roam, but that's exactly what the Jackal is meant to counter. Alongside the Zofia adding in with a lot of firepower, it's going to be a hard ask for Hoffen Esports to not only get the early man advantage, but also try to work off it, because there's no way you can run away from a scan.
Reloading! Cover me!
That is true indeed, and this time the roamers will face a lot of difficulty with Nomad and Jackal on board. However, I don't think that will stop them from going anywhere. I mean, they have Vigil who hides from the drones. I mean, it has the ability, like Vigil has the ability to hide himself from the drones right there. And we can see Thatcher placing that clever claymore at the east stairs, and he's already into the east stairs, waiting for anybody to show up on the office corridor. And once again, Hibana does the same push like she did before into the office, quietly sneaking up on that player, and she loses that fight. She didn't see that head coming right there, and Vigil falls back, reloads.
And I feel like this is becoming more of a telegraphed play coming in from Ultra Instinct, where their aggression has become relatively easy to read. Hoffen Esports set up at the perfect time and position to deal with the early push and get the early man advantage as well. A minute 25 left on the clock, and things will start getting a little itchy now if you're Ultra Instinct, because you have no control and you have no clear advantage. In fact, you're at a distinct disadvantage on the back of 3 versus 5. You need to find a way to yet again turn the tables and try evening up the odds. It's gonna push these players into a little bit more of a desperate move as you see the Nomad entering in, but what a tap! What a finish. Wow.
That was one hell of a tap right there coming from the Nomad, and once again an amazing Dragon goes with that Vigil. It's 3v3 into the round, 50 seconds already, and the defusing still hasn't gone down yet, and the attackers are still trying to push into the site.
They're just looking for where they can catch Hoffen Esports off guard, and right now they're doing that relatively well. The Nomad gonna be on re-entry again, 35 seconds left on the clock, but this is expected from the get-go, hiding near the locker rooms, and she's gonna be shanked. A 2 versus 2 now as they find the equalizer, but they need to rush the objective as there's only 30 seconds left on the clock. Thatcher trying to make the Termite trying to make his way through, but again, this hold has been clinical thus far. The Kaid and the Legion is left to find this clutch, and again, you would love to have a Legion in this situation, right? He cuts off so much of the rotation avenues, and he's a real threat when it comes to the plant.
Located a bomb. 10 seconds.
10
And there's a
seconds
bit
left.
around.
Yeah, I don't think Ultra
lying down.
Instinct even have this one in the bag, because yeah, a man down on Zofia, and they're nowhere near the objective. Hoffen Esports doing a real good job at keeping them at bay and not allowing them to get anywhere close. Yes, they do trade numbers, but they do hold their ground as well, and at that moment, it was just Ultra Instincts in desperation, where they were just trying to find a pick. They did get lucky with the initial 2, but thereafter, everything else was hard fought.
Of course, that is true. The last round was it just happened in a flash that the first 2 kills were like very easy, and the Nomad was trying to keep it together. However, the Thatcher, they lost it all to the very patient defenders right there, especially coming from the Hoffen. They knew what to do at the very last moment. They did not get carried away, even if the attackers were very low on manpower. And we can see this time Lockdown is going with Maestro in Armory Lockers. Yes, of course, Maestro's Evil Eye is a very good intel gathering gadget, as he can place, even after his death, he can provide much more information to the players, I mean, especially his teammates, if the Evil Eyes are correctly placed. And we can see that Mute is into the play, And this time, Mute, I would say that Mute is one of those underrated operators with his drone stopping machines where he places and the drones can't get into the site. I feel that his gun MP5K needs a bit more buff, but at the same
10
time, he
seconds
has
left.
been given a nitro in his hands so that he can play a very good
5 seconds
angle
remaining.
in the site.
Yeah, and I really love the phasing of the IQ as well,
Attackers are moving
where
out to locate a
initially she
bomb and
didn't
defuse
show
it.
as much
Attackers
face,
drop
but
the diffuser.
the problem is without Valkyrie being in the mix,
Attackers
the
recovered the bomb
IQ
diffuser.
has relatively lower amount of utility. When you do
Mm-hmm.
have a Valkyrie on the opposing side, the IQ is the perfect operator to pick
Mm-hmm.
because you deny the defenders a lot of aggressive information which they'll be hunting for. And talking about aggressiveness, Hoffen Esports, they don't seem to be shy on any front to take this fight, as they've all posted up near the entry points, and Ultra Instinct need to be real careful as to where they tread. It's been a repetitive tendency where Hoffen Esports have been able to gather the early man advantage and have been playing on the back of the early man advantage as well. Ultra Instinct, they've gotten lucky to get these situations to a very contestful one, but you can't expect the luck to be on your side at every single time you ask, right? So there needs to be a little more consistent grounds from where they come in.
Of course, that is true. And this time we can see that 2 minutes into the round, and I feel like Ultra Instincts is going to go with a plan this time. Maybe not the usual push from the office. And Sophia is seen near the AC vents, and uh, Nomad is trying to watch out for any possible runouts. And there we go.
None so far, and Ultra Instincts, their
Attackers have located a bomb.
aggressive tendencies are again getting very repetitive. Hoffen Esports, they've been set up relatively well, but now, a minute 28 and Ultra Instincts are still yet to gain any grounds towards the building. By taking Zafia, trying to burst her way through the guarded entrance, but it's not going to be as much of an easy task. And again, the man disadvantage is being read like an open book by Hoffen Esports as they disengage as well. No risk taking whatsoever. Minute left on the clock. This is where things get a little messy. Luckily, Ultra Instinct, they do find a way with the frag, but they're still not finding any grounds within this objective, and that's going to be a real headache because this is getting way too repetitive. Hoffen Esports, they are more than comfortable playing passive at this minute mark, and they're going to be playing on the back of crossfires. Finally, Ultra Instinct get a little bit of grounds amidst the armory, and now comes the push. 40 seconds left, and they're secondaring themselves. No, the Hibana, she tries to go big, but she goes home rather, and she's looking for somebody to come and get a rev in. Trying to retreat, but it's not going to be that good of a scene as now Ultra Instinct are coming in with a man advantage, but again, the objective being held so well from Hoffen Esports, not giving any air to Ultra Instinct. It all comes down to the IQ and a beautiful 1 versus 2 clutch. This is luck at its very best, and it strikes twice, I suppose.
I suppose indeed a very good aiming level. I mean, the reaction time given from the IU was absolutely amazing. I mean, it was the very last seconds, and everything was going wrong. The diffuser was somewhere else, but no, I saw that the IQ was bound to kill those last two, and I would completely agree with you, OG. It was a very good clutch coming from IQ Ajax.ice.
And it is a very lucky one in that as well, because the IQ might not have been offered the engagement at the final few seconds. And if they just played time, it would have been an easier round for the defense. That simply isn't the case this time around. And Ajax coming in with a beautiful clutch to save his team a little bit of skin. As they do find an equalizer, a 2-2 dead even match thus far. Really
Defenders, protect your bomb.
annoying to
Defused
see
by
that
attackers.
Ultra Instinct are ready to take it so low in terms of time, because even in the last round, it was pretty much a done and dusted case where Hoffen Esports could have just laid back passive after the last kill, but that's simply not the case, right? That if you're Ultra Instinct, you need to think of a more reliable way to win these rounds.
Of course, that is true. And this time in attack, we see the same roster of Hibana and Thatcher, Nomad, Zofia, and of course, once again, IQ. I feel like they have realized they need them because of how Vigil is on board and Mute is on board,
5 seconds
as
to go.
they have to rely on the drones to gather more information, especially in the sites like
Attackers
Border.
must locate
And we
and
can see,
defuse the
yes,
bomb.
they went for a dog, and we see We see a dog this time on the Hoffen side, and once again there's a mute and vigil.
Right now, if I'm Hoffen Esports, I'd wonder why I didn't ban the Nomad. Considering the playstyle that Hoffen Esports are coming in, I feel like the Nomad should be somewhat of a permanent ban when it comes to their drafting phase. What do you presume?
I feel like they could just go with more like so many bans right now. Like there was only 4 to ban. However, I can see that they also did not ban Echo, which the defending side could have gone with. Nomad, I would feel like they are pretty much confident on their roaming styles. I mean, they're confident that okay, yes, we can roam despite any roam deniers on the team. But we already saw that Nomad just whooped their bottoms in a lot of rounds right now. And we can see that UI Nomad is once again going for that same rappel along with the Claymore, maybe one of her air jabs planted on
Attackers
the
have
bottom
located a
door.
bomb.
Pretty good at denying Hoffen Esports an ultra aggressive start to the round, but again, it's not been the start of Hoffen Esports that we've been highlighting upon. It's more towards the ending where they get that pick and they fall back, which is all you need if you're Hoffen Esports right now. But Ultra Instinct have come in with a smarter game plan where they're gonna deny a lot of utility for Hoffen Esports from the low ground, courtesy of the IQ. And now with them being able to close in on two fronts, it's gonna be a harder task for Hoffen Esports to hold on to this bomb site, because not only do they need to be worried about the back and the front lines, they also need to be worried about the rotation avenues, which Ultra Instinct have control over for now.
That is true, and once again we can see that it's 1 minute into the round and the attackers are already still not that near to the defensive side, I mean the bomb side I mean, and they have already taken over the CCTV. Thatcher is still waiting to throw his Thatcher bombs on the reinforced walls, and maybe he's waiting for the Hibana to open up the wall. And once again, however, Hibana was on her way
Wow.
to do it, but they did not drone out that
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
CCTV.
Wow.
That defender who was lying there and killing comes up with the double kill right there. Is 3v4, and 30 seconds into the round the attackers have to do something. The Ultra Instincts, it's on their hands, and right now they have to come up with a plan.
Exactly, and losing both your heavy utility operators is not something that you'd like if you're Ultra Instinct. Another engagement, take it, the Zafia, trying to hold on to deal alive, but that's not going to be the case. 2 men left on the offense, making only one, as it's all left onto the Nomad, and she is as such, as she's roaming between life and death, not knowing where to go or what to do. Tries to take an engagement at range, but Hoffen Esports doing what they do best, holding towards the last minute, and again, a lot of pressure being put on the offense to gain this ground. They did do it initially on the back of IQ scan from the lower floor, but when they did try to take engagements, it simply didn't go their way. It felt like Hoffen Esports were at the better end of the engagement all day, every time when you saw them.
I would agree on that. And the last round, I would say the attackers, the UI, were quite confused as to what to do when they were trying to push in. They did not, I would say that they failed on their side when they were supposed to drone, and they could not see that lying defender in the CCTV, and they lost a lot of good operators at the very right, I mean, when they needed them.
Defenders, protect your bombs from
Well,
being
for now,
defused by attackers.
Ultra Instinct, I think this is going to be a really defining round for this half, right? They need to win this one out if they need to make anything work in the defense, because I feel like Hoffen Esports have this one in the bag. It just feels like their understanding of how this map works is better than what I'd expect from Ultra Instinct. What do you feel so far?
Of course, this is. I would. There's a reason behind that, because Hoffen has a lot of players who have been playing this game for quite a long time, especially Lockdown Killin and Kuntal. I have, from what I know, that he has been seen
5
playing
seconds
against
remaining.
a lot of Diamond and Platinum players, whereas the people in UI, Ultra
Attackers' objective
Instincts,
is to
they are
locate a bomb and
pretty much
defuse
a
it.
little bit new to the scene. However, I can see that they are playing quite well against these people, considering how they have been able to bag up 2 wins against a team that is so well versed with the game.
Exactly. They're certainly putting on a fight, and you could as well, if you do want to make your quarantine just a teeny bit more fun. You could grab yourself a copy of Rainbow Six Siege only for 4.99 rupees at the game at Games the Shop. So, a pretty tempting offer for perhaps making your quarantine just a little more fun. As yeah, Siege requires so much to learn, and it's so much fun learning this as well, right? So many aspects to this game that
Mm-hmm.
there still is undiscovered, and given a few years, I can't wait for this meta to develop even more, because every month you revisit Siege, it feels like there's a new meta already, and it's completely different to what it was last month or about 2 months ago.
Of course, that is true, especially with the changes that bamboozled the players all over the world, with the Jaeger getting reduced to 2 speed, and Doc getting his ACOGs removed. Also with, I think it was with the Rook as well, but I don't think that's the case. However, Doc gets an impact grenade from what I am hearing so far. That might not be true. That might be removed in the later patches. But I can see that Doc, who was supposed to be an anchor, gets turned into a possible roamer. Whereas the Jaeger was a very good roamer in the beginning. But however, with the change of his barbed wire into the nitro, he the side needs him.
Exactly, and considering they have a smoke, it's going to be really hard for Ultra Instinct to get into the objective and secure it, right? Because there's a decent bit of deny when it comes to the side of Hoffen Esports, and they're doing what they do best, which is grinding down the clock and forcing Ultra Instinct into an uncomfortable position. The IQ again initially goes down with Hoffen Esports playing relatively aggressive. They always find a way to get this first pick and then fall off. 50 seconds left. The Nomad still yet to gain round towards Armory. Again, a very slow push coming in from Ultra Instinct. Oh, what? This is this is just Tom and Jerry levels of comedy when it comes to Siege. You know exactly where he is, but he just cannot take the upfront fight, and they might just force the issue here. Another smoke, good deny coming in from Ultra Instinct, from Hoffen Esports, as there's simply no way that Ultra Instinct can gain grounds. They need to take the fight elsewhere, and luckily they did divide and conquer. Trying to flank the smoke, and
15 seconds
again,
left.
it's only good as a one-trick pony, as they don't find much more. As
10
soon as the
seconds
flank is
left.
discovered, Hoffen Esports are in a perfect position to deal with it as such. Ultra
5
Instinct
seconds
simply locked out of the objective as they're left to storm the front, and the front being well guarded. A beautiful defense orchestrated by Hoffen Esports as they completely wreck the oncoming attackers.
And with the round ending with the Jaeger, who was overzealous and he flies away. But anyway, that was a beautiful round by Hoffen. And as we saw on the screen, did say flawless, as five of the team members were alive, and it actually felt like a Tom and Jerry game where Hoffen Esports knew what they were doing with the newcomers of this, the opponent team who is the newcomer. I mean, they could just play around a little bit, waste their time, and when it came down to just 10 seconds, yes, I mean, they had no choice but to, the attackers had no choice but to run in and get killed. And we can see on the defense side, and this time we can see the rotation has happened, and Ultra Instincts is going with the defense, and we see an Ajax and, sorry, excuse me, the Ella along with
Defenders, protect
a
your bombs
Jaeger
from being defused
and
by attackers.
Vigil, Doc, and a Mozzie. And on the attacking team, we see Hibana, Thatcher, IQ, Nomad, and an Ash with the Lara Croft skin.
How do you feel about this Ella pickup though? I feel like on multiple occasions it's much
Mhm.
better to have an operator like Echo who can deny and who can also try to place his drone in a little more aggressive manner, right? I feel like that would be a better pickup over the Ella, but obviously the Ella is a little more versatile when it
Mhm.
comes to having her utility in aggressive
10
and
seconds
defensive
remaining.
engagements, whereas the Echo could be more of a specialist when it comes to
5
defending
seconds
and holding
remaining.
an objective or the
Mhm.
site.
That is true, exactly. Like, I have been
Attackers
wondering
must
for quite
locate
a
and
long
defuse the
time.
bomb.
Like, both of the teams are accessible to Echo, but none of them are taking the Japanese operator yet, despite him having a very
A
powerful
bomb has been
yokai
located.
drone. I feel like both of the teams had like some sort of strats in their mind, and as we can see, Ultra Instinct, at least with Ella, I feel like she's going for a very like a very good roam right there. And on the attacking team, yes, we can see that they're pushing in already. There's 2 minutes into the round and they're near East Stairs.
This is quite the pace change up from Hoffen Esports, where they were so comfortable playing slow on the defense. They're a completely different beast when it comes to the offense. 2 minutes on the clock, and they've gained significant ground. Now, they've already put the Havana in a good position where they could potentially go in for a breach and an early kill. They neutralize the device, and now comes the hard breach. They potentially could storm the front, but they're set up in so many different positions. It's going to be real hard for Ultra Instincts to hold the fort. Again, everybody from Hoffen Esports are just set up for that 1 ounce of aggression, and as shown, is taken. Hoffen Esports perfectly orchestrating the hit, as there is nobody from Ultra Instinct who's able to hold the line. Luckily, they don't return fire, but with little luck, as they're only a man up, Hoffen Esports doing a real good job pushing and forcing the issue, taking their fights on their turns and on the territory of Ultra Instincts. 2 men left standing, and it seems like a hard and daunting task already. Being spammed through. Again, you can see the scare in Pokemon's eyes, and well, I guess he's a dead man now. And it's all the Jaeger's eyes. It's all left on a Pokemon, and he could hold alone for any longer. Hoffen Esports, my oh my, how that is scary quick, because you know the storm is coming, but there's nothing you can do about it.
A storm so huge, Ultra Instinct couldn't even gather the courage to face it. I mean, the push from office was so well coordinated. I saw that the defenders, even if they were ready for it, they just couldn't do it at all. Like everybody just pushed, and then they were like, yes, we have this to ourselves. And Pokora Men could only do so much in the last round, and he just got shot when he was about to reload.
Well, I guess there's so much that UI could learn from this, right? Yes, you're coming into a tournament, you might be the team with lesser experience, but this is how you grow amongst the ranks. By playing more, yeah, you lose a tournament, but in the grander scheme of things, you're gaining experience, which
Attackers need to
nobody
locate
can
and
take away
defuse
from
the
you.
bomb.
And this is the best way of doing it as such, because you're going against really formidable opposition. And when you start learning to play this brand of Siege, you start becoming a more consistent lineup, which I guess is what UI needs. I guess given a few months, Ultra Instinct, if they do stick with this roster and stick with the charisma they have right now, they potentially could have better days. But nothing could be said as of yet, as the game is not over and they have an opportunity to come back. Although unlikely, still a possibility.
Of course, that is true. I can see that the players in Ultra Instinct have a lot of potential to be much better than they are
It
right now.
feels like they know the general understanding of the game, and their aim is pretty decent considering
Exactly,
how
exactly.
green they might be. So, yeah, so far, good work put in from Ultra Instinct, but little in way of reward, as Hoffen Esports clearly assert their dominance and shows how much experience outweighs everything else.
That is true, of course, since Hoffen Esports, as I said in the beginning, they consist of a team who has been playing this game for more than, let's say, 2 years. And these guys, even if they are able to face them, and they have been in the scene for, let's say, maybe a year, and they're still doing a pretty good job.
Exactly. For now, they need to find a way where they could potentially go for an early pick, considering how aggressive that Hoffen Esports have been willing to go. I guess if Ultra Instinct could find that one chink in their armor while they're getting aggressive, it's going to be worth a lot to them, because they can pay off that early man advantage and potentially re-aggress as well. Again, you can just see how ready the Nomad is to take this fight. Wow, who gives two hoots about the concussion? He just goes in, falls out aggressive and gets the kill, secures Hoffen Esports' potential early game for that day.
That is true, of course. Nomad is seen to be firing into that wall, and maybe she knows who's there. They're, of course, being very aggressive, and she gets that wall bank kill with double kill right there. It's 3v5 and 2v4 right there. In a blink of an eye, the wall goes down, and the Pokora Man is left on his own. And we can see that Fanner gets a good kill right there. A cheeky angle, however, he goes down in that refrag.
Yeah, if Hoffen Esports were any more quick with their aggression, you can rather just have WD Black sponsor them just due to their speed, and yeah, it ain't gonna be
That's a good way to
nothing.
put it.
Yeah, exactly. It's the only way to put it because there's no way to deal with this amount of aggression, right? It's just the amount of confidence that these players have, and they know that they are at a severe skill advantage, so they're putting it to the maximum use. And this is how you dominate and prove yourself in the bigger aspect of the scene. Even let it be on smaller tournaments, bigger tournaments, games which are not relevant or games which are relevant. You need to have this consistency, and the best way to do that is with the warrior mentality, where you play every game like it's your last and you give it your 100%, which is exactly what's happening right now. Hence, it's not been that great of a game for UI, but you can see that they're putting in their best with the response, and so far, so good.
We can see that they might have learned a bit on the lessons with the drones blazing in and all that, because we can see that an echo is there on the team, and maybe he's there to
Defenders,
deny the
protect your
plans.
bombs
And
from being
since
defused by
Hoffen
attackers.
has been so fast with the push and everything, they did need an echo, and we can see that this time we have a lesion on board. And this is actually, I feel like they know what the Hoffen is up to with all of them running into the site at once, and maybe there is something needed to stop them on their way. And on the attacking team, the Hoffen, we see an Ash this time, and once again a Ying and an IQ in the play.
Yeah, it's
And
gonna be a
Ash,
pretty fast
it's
round if I do
it's
say so
gonna be
myself.
faster than anything before we have seen.
I just
5 seconds
realized
to
that
insertion.
Hoffen Esports are going with a completely female themed offense, which is
Oh
something
my
that I
my,
just
that's
noticed off the back
something
of
I
my
didn't
head.
notice before. This is girl power right there, people.
Well, it's been working out so far for Hoffen Esports, and I guess this should be the finishing blow. Why not have it in a more satisfying way than having the fastest operators come out for a potentially really, really,
Bomb
really
located
fast
by
round?
attackers.
That is true, especially Ash being a three-speed operator with her the
Attackers have
grenade
located a bomb.
launcher she carries on her shoulder. I feel like I'm seeing another Russian right now. It
Talking
won't
about
take much
Ash,
longer.
I feel like she's an operator that people really overlook. When people call themselves Ash mains or people say that, yeah, I'm really good with Ash, people undersell it. Being good with Ash is a skill set required in and of itself. You need to be really fast with the way you think, with the way you approach the game, and obviously you need to have that mechanical reflex where you'd be able to put her to the best of her use, where she'll be so elusive to catch, but at the same time, if you don't catch her, she's going to be real deadly to your defense, as she'll just complete her drive-by in the matter of a few seconds. A quick breach. It's only 2 minutes on the clock, and they're ready to take the bomb site itself. Wow! Again, the man advantage going the
Whoa.
way of Hoffen Esports, make it a two-man advantage as Ultra Instinct just completely flounder on the hole. The beautiful
My
flick coming
my.
in, and the Ash just proving her worth in weight. The backstab's coming in, but of no avail. We talked about the Echo being phased in, which has been a rare occurrence, but the knife! Slice and dice, let
Oh my
us
goodness.
go! Who needs
Okay.
rounds when you have entertainment? He pulls it down to a 1 versus 3. It's all left on a stage is tough with an all to do, as they are going to get the objective done in the matter of a second, and so does the shot. Hoffen Esports, really good job done by them, especially on border, where they just did not seem shy to go aggressive, and neither did they feel shy to play passive on defense. They truly deserved this win.
Truly ended, especially the amount of coordination that came from Hoffen Esports from the last round when the Ying threw her candelas and at the same time Hibana's fire flowers went off, and everything was done in a flash, and we just saw a little bit of Echo who was hiding in the smoke and just decides to walk up and like, you know what, I'm gonna go after that Zofia right there. I'm gonna just like stabby. And however, he doesn't make it, as he gets refragged by another attacker right there. However, this entire match, I have just one word for it: speed.
Speed, exactly. Lightning McQueen is what came to my mind, but
I
I
am
guess
speed.
we'll need to wait it out for Clubhouse, which is going to be a really interesting map. I can't wait for Clubhouse. I feel like maybe this time around Ultra Instinct might have a better chance considering it's their pick, and let's hope that they do put on a better fight. Before we do go off for a small break, a huge shout out to our sponsors to help bring this tournament to life. Brought to you by display partner Samsung, associate partner WD Black, Colorful, and Games the Shop. We will be back with Clubhouse as soon as it's ready to go live. Until then, lay back, make some popcorn, and enjoy the rest of this tournament.
The moment of creation is a form of magic, where an off becomes an on, a 0 becomes a 1, then another, and another, until, deep in the complexity, you discover order, speed, reliability, power. Experience the WD Black NVMe SSD. Fueled by darkness. Level up to NVMe SSD performance.
To become who we are. This is my moment. I got a most exciting time.
It's all about humanity.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second game between Hoff Esports and Ultra Instinct. We did see Hoff Esports take a relatively quick victory over Border, where their offense was just unstoppable. And yeah, with the second map being the pick of Ultra Instinct, I expect to see more of a fight at Clubhouse, but that's yet to be seen. But a huge shout out to our sponsors to make this tournament possible. Brought to you by display partner Samsung, associate partner WD Black, Colorful, and Games the Shop. And so far, Ultra Instincts did not look as comfortable on border, but I hope things are about to change as Hoffen Esports have please displayed quite the dominant streak. Now, an early ban on the Maverick. This is not a hero I'd expect the ban on as early. Again, I feel like at this point, a Ying ban would be relatively expected considering how the meta has been shaping up, but I've been proven wrong considering the caster's curse is still upon me. And again, joining me for yet another game is going to be Sari. So, what do you think about the pick so far?
In the Clubhouse, we see Maverick being bad, and I would say that is one of the best decisions by the one who banned them. Maverick can be proven to be absolutely beast when it comes to breaking into the reinforced wall in the CCTV. You can see the Thatcher is gone as well. With no Maverick, no Thatcher in the play, I wonder how they're going to stay away from that bandit. And however, we can see that Guide is also banned, so yes, it's up to bandit to do the tricking onto himself. And then there's Mira ban, which proves to be absolutely useful when it comes to the church site, where Mira is needed when you're defending the blue and the other part of the site as well.
So, what's your opinion on Kai that's an operator? Somebody who's near a siege, what should they know about this operator?
The guide, yes. He was introduced into the game when Wind Bastion was into the play, like the Wind Bastion was introduced the game alongside Nomad. And Kaid with his Artilas, as we can say, as we can say that it kind of is it's a mix between Ella's gadget and Bandit's gadget. Like you can throw it around, especially on the hatches, and it would and it would latch onto the hatch, and it would just electrify the hatch so that you have to take a Thatcher with you, break it apart. And talking about Kaid's gun. Guide has an AUG A3 along with the shotgun, which kind of works like a very powerful DMR with an ACOG slapped onto it. However, I have seen a lot of good players using that shotgun instead of the AUG A3. And talking about his secondary, he has a pistol which has a ACOG on it. Yes, it is a pistol with an ACOG, and despite its very huge recoil, it proves to be an absolute amazing when it comes to the secondary of the defenders.
Well, they have banned two of the hard breachers, so that's something that Hoffen Esports have come in with the game plan with thus far. So I'm expecting the Hibana to be a constant appearance in this map. Again, the Captain is a hero I feel Hoffen Esports are going to be very comfortable playing. Ultra Instincts, they go for early picks, but they do fall back a little flat past, I guess, a minute and a half. And at least from personal experience, the Captain was one of the best heroes to force the defenders out of position and potentially out in the open. Something that I'm potentially looking forward to as well. It's going to be the Thermite pickup because, like you said, there potentially could be the resurgence of Mute. Again, an underrated operator, but by no means underpowered, and Hoffen Esports starting things off strong with the man advantage.
Reminds me, there's, something deja vu is going on around here. That once again, Hoffen is trying to get over with this round very quickly. They are very aggressive as usual.
They're just outside the bomb side, and it's a minute 42
exactly,
on the clock.
It's just minute and 46 of the round, and already 5. Most of them are outside in the construction, and they're already trying to throw that flashbang and kind of landed onto someone. And this time they succeed. Yes, Thatcher with his black eyes, skin on the gun. Wow, that's great. and the defenders are freaking out a little, and we can see that 2 of the defenders already go in early in the round, and they're already pinned down, and it's up to the defenders to save. But
Well,
do you
they do
think
have the echo, so it's
They do have
possible,
the
and
echo.
with the side hold from Bandit, it could potentially be a great crossfire set in place. Paramite getting a decent bit of information, allowing the rest of his team on the offense to finish off the job that they started. Sadly, the Bandit just could not last that long. Rotations coming in from the Vigil, though, and a beautiful off-angle held by the Echo, who is the operator we've been questioning a lot as in why he's not phased in, and he's showing us why he should, making pretty good damn case for it as well. The defuse are going to be on the planet. Beautiful shot landed at range as the Frost needs to double up to find any kind of success, but that's simply not the case Hoffen Esports. They start aggressive, they start fast, and they start strong. Map 2 seems to be theirs as well.
On to the round 2, we see that the round was quick, like before. But this time we saw that Echo was being very, very patient with his play lying down near that catwalk on that metal kill we saw. But however, when he went to kill that other attacker, he couldn't make it. And this time, we can see that on the attacking phase, we have iCapitao and Buck in the play, since Buck is very good with the vertical plays, and especially when team might be going with Turge, Buck is very essential when it comes down to making vertical holes on the place near the kitchen area.
Exactly. You know, considering that you have both the Buck and Capitao, it's a very hard job on the defense because there's so much pincer that Hoffen Esports could pull off, and the lower the clock ticks, the more harder it gets for Ultra Instinct, because Hoffen Esports are not shy taking aggressive control, and they do it pretty early. So it's going to be on Ultra Instinct to hold the fort, at least hold the lines for a minute and test Hoffen Esports' aggression. At this point, it's come to a situation where Ultra Instinct play passive. They look to be comfortable, but as soon as Hoffen Esports start on the offense, all that comfort vanishes, all their efforts vanishes, and Hoffen Esports make it look pretty easy, whereas it actually isn't. Ultra Instinct are playing relatively well, and by no caliber are they a real bad team, but Hoffen Esports are simply making that case that you may be good, but we're just too good for you.
All boils down to the fact
Well,
of really good.
exactly. For now, I'm really interested to see how they put this Pulse to good use, because he's an operator who could both play passive and aggressive, and I'd expect him to go in for the first kill. The engagement taken, the Capitao take desperately low, trying to wallbang his way to succeed, but he needs some backup, and pretty fast, he is gonna bite the dust. Finally, something working in the favor of Ultra Instinct, but Hoffen Esports, they just do not want to shy away from this fight. They know that they're at a man disadvantage, but they also are in a position where they could potentially catch Ultra Instinct off guard. They're making their way through. Again, a lot of entry points, and they're making every single one of them work. You talk about the IQ being so dead fast, and this is exactly why you do not want a 3-speed operator playing up against you so early on. She gets that pick, and she falls back, no more damage dealt. They even the situation out as it's down a minute 35 left on the clock, and Ultra Instinct, they might have the pulse, they might have operators who could play outside the objective, but at this point with Hoffen Esports just closing in from every single nook and cranny, it's going to be a pretty hard ask. Minute on the clock. Hoffen Esports, they've got it down on the pulse, and he would not be revived in the situation because you really cannot afford to give away another man's pick as well. Finally finished the job that they started off, and the fight taken to the corridors. Buck almost ended up going down there. Luckily did retrieve in time, didn't have the backup of the IQ. They're gonna take this vertically as they've been planning to from the get-go, as both the IQ and the Buck punch in walls through the ceiling of Ultra Instinct, and you've got to feel a little sweaty about this situation. Ultra Instinct simply being picked apart like flies. Hibana trying to do the best she can, and she pulls up a double, and Hoffen Esports mechanically supreme and superior. It just shows in their aim and their game.
Round when why the defense instinct.
Yeah, 2-0, and for now, it's not the start that Ultra Instinct came in mind with. Mind you, this is their map pick, so we're expecting something different. We're expecting them to come out with some level of confidence, which the early pick certainly gave them a little bit of it, but ever since then, everything has been going down south with this. They've opted for the CCTV cash room defense yet again, and if I was them, I think maybe the basement would be the best place to opt in for the defense because they're simply not able to deal with this vertical pincer
Attackers need to locate
that
and defuse
Hoffen
bombs.
Esports are delivering on their doorstep. This time around, they do have the dock.
Attackers have discovered the
They
location
do
of
have
a
the
bomb.
Legion, so they potentially could go on the roam and have Echo defend the objective from the outside. But even when they do this, Hoffen Esports are aggressive at the perfect time and situation to catch Ultra Instinct off guard, which has been a repetitive trend that we've been seeing. So far, Ultra Instinct, they've tried to get that early pick, but what if they one-up themselves? They could potentially go as a buddy unit and try to get overly aggressive, catching Hoffen Esports off guard, as
Defuse a bomb.
when you are being pushed against the wall, sometimes you've got to push back and you've got to have a helping hand. Perhaps that helping hand is what they need to push back the offense of Hoffen, Hoffen Esports a little back, and boy, was that a little bit of a tongue twister. The IQ certainly proving to be a valuable pick here, as
Bomb located by
we've
attackers.
not seen her phased in as much for map 1, but especially on map 2, she's completely removing much of Ultra Instinct's early utility that they could potentially come in with. For now, Hoffen, they've been pretty good at cutting down Ultra Instinct's early aggression. They're again very close to the objective, and only 2 minutes in. How has this happened? Ultra Instinct, we can't let this one go this way. The IQ knows exactly what's up on the entry, still not faced with an engagement. Finally one taken, but not finished off. The IQ left with a little bit of an unfinished job. They do manage to get the wall broken open, and they're expecting some kind of retaliation, which is simply not the case. Ultra Instinct, they have somewhat of a good position, but everybody from Hoffen Esports is ready to storm the front. A lot of utility gonna go down the drain, as they might go down this vertical spiral and just pincer Ultra Instinct yet again. It's been more of the snap of the thumb, which they've been comfortable with time and time and again. Potentially could have been an early pick going the way of the dock, as he's holding the off angle through the door. Again, should expect a little bit of drone work before they do enter the site. A minute on the clock, and this is the slowest that Hoffen Esports have been thus far. Ultra Instinct doing a good job not to give away the early man disadvantage. Yeah, giving away decent bit of information though. Based on positioning, Hoffen Esports could now base their offense and in a more meaningful way. Oh my! What? What? I don't know. This is unreal. Hoffen Esports, all it took was 5 seconds and 5 kills just flurried their way. What happened there? Well, you talk about cash room defense, but what you gonna do with all that cash when you can't hold on to it? Oh my goodness. What did we just witness? Was that one of the quickest execution of a team in Siege? I've never seen one this fast. Holy moly. They talk about speed being a very important aspect when it comes to racing, and it seems like this is just one race when it comes to UI and being on the back foot of it. Because every time they've tried to go aggressive, they've been cut out. Every time they've tried to play passive, they've been pincered. Every time they try to go for an early pick, they get it. But after that, Hoffen Esports are in the perfect position to respond.
Located by attackers.
At this point, it's like playing a guessing game where all the options given to you are wrong. There's nothing you can do to win. What do Ultra Instincts do to turn the tables?
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb. 10 seconds remaining.
They have opted for a similar side defense, and at this point, they might want to reconsider it, but
Attackers' objective is
for
to
all
defuse
we
the
know,
bomb.
this could be an orchestrated strat, so let's hope that Ultra Instinct have come in with a secret punch up their sleeve.
Launching.
2 minutes 30 on the clock. First times for everything, and it seems like Hoffen Esports haven't gotten the man advantage yet. Although they did find a band getting overly aggressive. They tried to save the drone, but this could be the early pick going their way as they're set up for this kill. Hoffen. It's been gifted them on a silver platter, and they know exactly what's up. Another drone just for safety. Oh, what a beautiful... That was actually meant to be a bait. Such top-notch play coming in from Hoffen Esports, and you know why they're at the upper end of this engagement. That was like a 200 IQ move, at least in siege terms, and again, Ultra Instinct, they want to hold, but they cannot hold on. That's the only problem they're having so far, and that's the biggest problem they're having as well. Finally, some kind of response, but then getting the pick, it boils down to a 4 vs 3. But their position is getting given away pretty easily. They kept it down, forcing them courtesy of the flames, and now with the aggression should be cut down. The peak comes in, but not the kill though, and Hoffen Esports, again, it's like they're playing Operation, but they don't even need any tools. They're just cutting this with their minds as they're completely outbraining and out-positioning Hoffen Ultra Instinct with ease, 4-0, and we might be on the roads to perhaps our first flawless victory of this tournament. And a huge shout out to the sponsors who do make this tournament come to life. Display partner Samsung, associate partners WD Black, Colorful, and Games the Shop. All this excitement you're seeing on screen, you can't believe you can pick this up at only $4.99 at Games the Shop, so something to look forward to. Potentially something to look forward to from UI's defense, because there's been not much thus far,
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as
but
they
there's
can.
still room for them to come back into this game. Well, for now, I guess Hoffen Esports have everything under wraps, considering they don't need to change much in the way of their offense. Although they did phase in the sledge over the buck, which is something that I don't really agree with, because the buck offers more versatility in range as you can wreck both the floor and the ceiling, whereas when you have the sledge, it's more bound towards the walls that are up against you and the floor. So
Attackers are moving
it
to
could
defuse the
be
bomb.
a well thought out pick, as well as now that Ultra Instinct have exhausted their pick towards CCTV, they should opt in for the basement defense. So might
Of course
be a
they are.
smart pick.
And we can see that the attackers, the Hoffen Esports, are going with that like that dirt push right there. We can see Thermite was placing his breach charges, and it's only 2 minutes into the round. And despite Ultra Instinct losing a lot of round and bagging no wins for themselves till now, I feel like they're trying their hardest to defend themselves on this match.
Exactly. For now, it seems like they might be able to put up a fight, but
Oh.
again, they're getting caught off guard pretty easily. Hoffen Esports simply at a position where you wouldn't expect them to be so early on. Wow. At this point, if you are Ultra Instinct, what goes through your mind? What do you need to change up in the way you're approaching this game?
If I was in their place, I would say just take a lot of trap operators. I mean, that could work one at a time. I mean, I think they could take Frost at this point since they are being very aggressive in the place. And we can see that they've already breached that kitchen hatch. And
Wow.
I feel like Hibana is already down there. I mean, they're already going with that vertical kill. And that angle was quite cheeky right there. And someone goes down the other 4v2 right there. And the
Again.
refrag comes in.
Exactly. Ultra Instinct yet again at the disadvantage in the back leg of this round as Hoffen Esports 2 men up, make it 1. They're trying to claw their way back, but in that process they're losing men, they're losing numbers, both in terms of manpower and rounds, because there are barely any left, and the few which are, they need to be won by Ultra Instinct if they need to have any hope in this best of 3, which simply doesn't seem to be the case. Trying to pick a fight, but simply of no avail. Hoffen Esports, it seems like they're just comfortable packing them in coffins and chipping them over, because this seems like more of a dead strat where they're putting it to good use, right? You don't really see such an aggressive strat always work, but right now they're making it seem like it's the meta, which it certainly isn't.
Uh, yes, still even I think they know who their opponent is, and I think they just like a predator would do. They're reading their prey and looking them into their eyes, and they know that they're scared. I just feel like that. And this time we can see Oryx into the play. I feel like this was not allowed. Um, yes, he took the 6th pick, and he changed it back to me. I mean, it would have been a disaster if you went with that. And we can say that
Oh
Dokaibi
boy.
is going with Hibana. Yeah, I mean, this was just an error on their
Attackers need to
side.
locate
That's
and
all.
I feel like the Dokibi is another character that perhaps could be used to the advantage of Hoffen Esports.
Yes.
The trademark for
Mhm.
Hoffen so far is their ability to go aggressive, and the Dokibi does a really good job at rooting out aggression. Just imagining a lineup where you have a Lion, Dokibi, and a Finka
Oh my,
to
my,
both
my.
amplify the ability of engagements and to minimize the risk of engagements where you already know the position and how the teams are going to be set up. It feels like Hoffen Esports could be setting up for that pick, but yeah,
Bomb located
even
by
without
attackers.
aggressive
10
picks
seconds
as
to
such, they
insertion.
are proving to be quite the aggressive force.
5
You
seconds
know
to
what would be
insertion.
funny if one of them takes Blitz and
Attackers'
one of them
objective is to
takes
defuse the
Ying and
bomb.
one
Oh
of them
boy.
takes Fuse and goes
Yeah,
up
I
to the
guess
roof.
at that point even
And
sunglasses can't
they
help.
are done for. And
Yeah.
like looking at the way they're rushing into the site, and the defenders are like, you know what, maybe we should have been a trap operator, but that's all right. I mean, let's just see how this round winds up into.
Well, again, early control going the way of Hoffen Esports as they found a way to spearhead their offense through the garage. Mind you, Ultra Instinct haven't had much luck in this map. Even regardless of the bomb site, Hoffen Esports seem to be a step ahead. Ultra Instinct. This time around, they do have the Doc Jaeger and oh, the early pick
Oh my,
again. Hoffen
oh
Esports,
my.
they find one hole and they make it work so gloriously, but they do face off again with a man equalizer, and this is where Ultra Instinct are at their weakest. Because even when they're a match even, it just doesn't seem like they have it in them to take this round in their favor. Although with the secondary frag, this is more than possible. Now Ultra Instinct could potentially turn the tables and could be on their way for a comeback, but that still is as far-fetched as this round is for Hoffen Esports.
That is into the play. We can see 1 minute 40 seconds into the round, and this time only have 2 attackers on the team, and it's up to 2v3 right now. Steger, Staff, Trekin, and Ajax with the ones being alive.
Well, the Valk is spotted though. That's a little bit of information for the Hibana to work out of, and this potentially could mean the equalizing frag, which would mean that Hoffen Esports are still in this to win it. The flash comes in, but she flashed herself! Oh no, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Hoffen Esports almost getting a clinical map under their belt, but now it seems questionable, as it's all left on at the IQ, but she has a minute left on the clock. Time is certainly in her favor, and it seems like she has the right idea to this. She knows that there's a backstab. She knows that Valk really has not much mobility from the position she's in. It seems like she might be the only piece on the chessboard, but she's the damn queen, and you know how much she can move. Oh, fight taken. One cleanly as well. full HP left on the IQ. Has 40 seconds left on the clock. Mind you, the diffuser is down, so she is being held by the leash, but she can rip it apart as well. She knows exactly where the Valk is going to be playing from as well, so a little bit of information going her way. Ultra Instinct, they are set up to refrag this take though, and oh
Attackers
boy,
recovered the
she
bomb
knows.
diffuser.
Oh, she spots the head and she takes it down. She has the diffuser. 20 seconds left on the clock as it's all down to the mute, and
Attackers
he
have located
needs
a
to
bomb.
silence this round
15
as he
seconds
does
left.
silence the drone. The scout work does come in, and Hoffen Esports, they don't budge.
I am dry of words just to say how well planned and how patient that clutch came from. The IQ. That was, as I could say, 200 IQ plays, if you know what I mean.
Oh boy, how have they let this one go? It is a 2 versus 4. This has to be so. This is where you've reached the point as a player where you're like, okay, guys, let's call it a day. Let's finish this game. Let's go home. Let's have a little bit of fun elsewhere because it certainly doesn't look like they're having the best of the times here. Even on the back of that disadvantage, if they're not able to close the round, then it becomes questionable at the very best, doesn't it?
Um, I would like to point out one thing. Hibana, poor
Defenders,
Hibana,
protect your bombs from
was
being
not
defused
having a
by
good day.
attackers.
She threw a flashbang onto her own eyes and died. But once again, I feel like Ultra Instinct should have been a little patient with their hold, as the diffuser, they had the diffuser to themselves. But only if Valkyrie would have been a bit better with her peak, or maybe should not peak at all. The thing is, the first and foremost rule of Rainbow Six is that you don't peak the attackers unless you think you're powerful. I mean, you don't.
Exactly, and even
10
during that
seconds
1
to
versus 2, it didn't look like the strongest of crossfires, right? Because
5 seconds.
right after the Valk went down, there was no refrag coming in from the mute, and there was no refrag potential as
Attackers
well.
are moving out
Far
to
from
locate a bomb and
him being in
defuse it.
position, he was not ready for that kind of aggression, and that just shows as to how much of another level the Hoffen Esports are in, and what a start to
Exactly.
the tournament it has to be for them, right? A dominant first map on their pick, and even on the opposition's pick, they are ready to take this one clean and sweep them off their feet.
Of course, that is true. In fact, in the last round, I felt like, I would like to talk about the clutch right there. I mean, anybody could have just rushed in after taking the diffuser. However, it shows how much experience these guys have. We can see that IQ threw the
Attackers have
drone
located a bomb.
and pretended to throw the drone, and that is one of the tricks I have seen a lot of experienced Rainbow Six players do. They pretend to throw the drone and rush in so that the defender thinks that they are
Yeah, think
on
they're
the
droning,
camera.
and
Yeah,
it's
it's not.
like sight.
They're bamboozled. Psych, bamboozled, and he dead.
Doesn't sound like the Pokemon Pikachu meme.
Yeah. Drone, I choose you. I mean, talking about that, Valkyrie throwing her black eye actually does look like she's throwing her Pokeball. I mean, won't it be cool? Like, I remember one of these posts I saw on Reddit where Bandit was drawn as a Pikachu. I mean, Bandit was drawn as a Pikachu and Raichu was drawn as a Kai. And we can see that IQ was already inside the dirt and she goes down. Oh my
But
god, that
it was a
lesion.
beautiful pick, though.
Ooh, exactly. I would agree on that.
Well, they're trying to distract him as much as they go. Whoa!
Oh my.
What? That was like the perfect bait and switch move. You distract him with the drone and you take him with the bullet. Well, if Ultra Instinct could have done this in their first half, then potentially could have come out with a better scoreline, but that's simply not the case. Hoffen Esports, I've seen them pull off a 1 versus 3, so a
Attackers
3
have dropped
versus
the bomb
4 is
diffuser.
far from being
Attackers
impossible
have
in their
recovered
books.
diffuser.
I saw UI Fanner teasing them a little bit, saying that, oh, you know what, you died to that flashbang again. So we saw them. Oh, once again, we can
wow.
see that Zofia gets on that Roma who did not see that Zofia coming.
I was wondering why at 40 seconds they're preparing to reposition this. This is like the worst time. This is the time where you need to choose a position and dedicate yourself to it. The crossfire is decent, but it's only good for one. It's all left on the Legion as she has to turn 180 to try and find the first kill, which is simply not the case. The Hibana, she is low, but she is not dead. The rotation's coming in, and the first frag is down. Mind you, there was a 1 versus 3 in the previous half, and this could be the finishing blow that Ultra Instinct might not be ready for. Hoffen, this is your chance to go big, and the spam, it is beautiful. Denying the objective, and now comes a 1 versus 1. All eyes on the Captain now as he needs to force the objective and force the fight. It's all going to be on lockdown as he has just single-handedly locked this round down. He has won this for Hoffen Esports, taking this one flawlessly. 7-0. How else would he have it? A 1 versus 3 to save them a flawless victory, and a 1 versus 3 to save them the game as well.
And this time we go with absolutely flawless victory with Legion Elite flexing his
the flex is real.
Yeah, that flex means a lot.
He looks like a guy who's seen shit and you do not want to face up against him.
Yeah,
just like you do not want to face up against
bro.
Exactly what Hoffen would be feeling after this game. But it's been a really good game to open this tournament off. Hoffen with a really good start to this tournament. We obviously do have TBD versus Decoy Dreams played off stream, and we would be back with the next game. But before we do go off stream for a quick break, a huge shout out to our sponsors to make this tournament possible. Display partners Samsung, associate partners WD Black, Colorful, and Games the Shop. Again, a huge shout out to NVIDIA to bring this tournament to life alongside the partners. And I guess we have quite the day coming up ahead, right? We have Reckoning Esports, who are a team that I'm dying to watch. A recent roster change has been hitting them, but you never really know. That might be the X factor that might even win them this trophy. So it's going to be quite a treat for us to watch. Any remarks on this game, Sari? I guess not. See you after a small break, guys. Do stay safe, stay home, enjoy this quarantine. And if you are enjoying this game, you can pick it up for only $4.99 at Games the Stop. So do not hesitate, be safe, and we'll be back with the game number 2.
The moment of creation is a form of magic, where an off becomes an on, a 0 becomes a 1, then another, and another, until, deep in the complexity, you discover order, speed, reliability, power. Experience the WD Black NVMe SSD. Fueled by darkness. Level up to NVMe SSD performance.
To become who we are. This is my moment. I got a most exciting time.
It's all about humanity. About humanity.